At a young age of 16, I began collecting, restoring, and trading classic cars. I had attended many classic car shows and auctions around the country. At some point in my career, my classic car hobby became sort of a business, where I would sell cars for a profit to feed my habit to buy more cars. And I would invest in them to buy more vehicles and grow my collection. In 2009, during the financial crisis, while being a member at a golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey, I received a letter in the mail from the manager of the golf club, who stated, due to the financial crisis, we are having trouble getting new members. If any members know new members that want to join our club, please bring them in and we will give you a commission or a credit on your account to be able to use for food, beverage, and services at the club. I remember, as I'm standing here today, a gorgeous Saturday, that I was sitting on the patio after I received that letter, having lunch, looking out over the golf course, and as I looked out over the course, a bell went off in my head, as an entrepreneur does, and came up with another idea. I had an idea to bring in members to the golf club. So I approached the club's manager. I advised them that I had come up with an idea to bring in people on private jets and helicopters that were going to spend millions of dollars and die to be members of this club. He asked me how I was going to do that. I replied, I can't tell you. But tell your boss if he's interested to call me. I left the club 15 minutes later, and while pulling into my driveway, received a call from the club's manager, telling me that the boss had wanted to meet with me. That boss is now our President of the United States of America, Donald Trump. I returned back to the golf course at 1 o'clock to meet Mr. Trump. While driving back to the club for my meeting, my gut told me that I had better be ready for the negotiation of my life, and that I had better have a strategy to be able to achieve my goal, as I was about to sit at the table with one of the greatest negotiators of all time, who wrote the book, The Art of the Deal. In my meeting, my opening line with Mr. Trump, I advised him that I had been to all of his golf courses and that they were gorgeous, but that they could not compete with Pebble Beach in California. His face turned beet red and dropped to the floor. He quickly responded, I have the greatest golf clubs in the world. Not wanting to insult him, and wanting to play into his ego, I replied, of course, that's just what I said. I have been to all of your golf clubs, and they are the greatest in the world. I just said you can't compete with Pebble Beach. Mr. Trump had to compose himself, and he asked me why. And I replied, because you do not have a concours de l'honneur. And he puzzledly looked at me and said, what is that? And I replied, it's a classic car show and auction, which Pebble Beach is known for more than their golf. People come from all over the world. I then saw my opening. I immediately sprung in my idea to run classic car shows and auctions throughout all these golf courses around the country. Within moments, he stood up and replied, I like this. So what's our cut? 90-10? Knowing that I was in for the negotiation of my life, And I knew it was critical for me to not show 1 ounce of fear. I knew that I had to create an illusion, something that I had learned in previous times as an entrepreneur, and that I needed to show him that he needed me more than I needed him. I simply replied to him, yes, 90-10. 90 me, 10 you. Mr. Trump looked at me and said, that's not going to work. You're going to have to come up with a better deal. I told him that I would think about it and get back to him. We parted ways, and as I got in my car and pulled out of the golf course, he flagged me down. He came over to my car and I rolled down the window, and he asked me, so what are we going to do? And I said, we're going to think about it. At that moment, I knew I had something that he wanted. No different than I had something that Ambo wanted when I started my logistics company, and no different than I knew that the office manager who came out of their office and wanted to see me came out for a reason. I had something that they wanted or needed. As an entrepreneur, that is filling a need. That is part of the success of an entrepreneur, filling a need. Several days later, we ran into each other at the golf course. And he came up to me again and asked me, what are we going to do? I replied to him that I would clearly come up with a better deal, but that I wanted a long-term contract. His face dropped to the floor again. He said, I don't give long-term contracts. We should try one event and see how it works. I replied, in all due respect, and I do have respect for you, I'm not willing to put my time and effort into this concept, and after bringing in 50,000 people to this country club, we're going to join, most of them are going to join. You're going to tell me the greatest thing, that the greatest thing's in sliced bread, and you're going to do it on your own. He advised me that he was not interested in giving me a long-term contract, and I respectfully replied, okay. The summer passed, and we passed each other probably on a weekly basis. That October, I traveled to Mar-a-Lago, Trump's Mar-a-Lago in Palm Beach, for a weekend to see Andre Bocelli. It was a Friday evening, and I was going out to dinner and waiting for my car. And Donald and Melania came out of Mar-a-Lago, and they saw me. And as they were getting in their car, they came over to me, and Donald said, how are you doing? And I said, great. And he said, so what's going on? I said, nothing. And he said, how are things going? And I said, great. And he asked me, what are you doing with your car show? And I said, I'm doing it. And he said, how is it going? And I said, great. And he said, where are you doing it? And I replied, I'm doing it with Richard Branson. He said, who? And I said, Mr. Trump, in all due respect, you're going out to dinner. I'm around all weekend. We can sit and discuss it. The next day, I was sitting in the bar having a drink with a friend, and he came in. He asked me if I signed the contract with Mr. Branson. And I said, no. And he said, don't sign it. I'll give you what you want. I'll give you your long-term contract. I want you to call my office Monday morning and speak to my attorney, Michael Cohen. I want you to come into New York, and I will give you what you want. And we shook hands and parted ways. I knew at that point my strategy worked. Every entrepreneur has to have a strategy. And they have to believe in it and stick with it. It doesn't matter who you're at the table with. It doesn't matter who you're negotiating with. It doesn't matter who you're in front of trying to raise money for an idea. Your strategy, you have to believe in your strategy and stick with it. When I arrived back in my office Monday morning, I made a conscious decision that I was not going to call him. Late that afternoon, around 6 p.m., my secretary came into my office and she was shaking. I asked her what's wrong, and she advised me Donald Trump was on the phone. I sat for a moment and thought. And my gut, which is what every entrepreneur should go with, your gut, because your gut is 99.9% right, told me that my strategy worked and that I was going to play the same strategy. I told my secretary to tell him that I would call him back. I was in a meeting. Clearly, I was not in a meeting. He left me his cell phone number and I called him back at 8:30 that evening. He wanted to know why I didn't call him back. He was furious. And I advised him that I had gotten busy. We then proceeded to set up a meeting in New York, at which time I arrived in New York, sat in his office with 5 of his lawyers. They handed me a contract, and it was for 1 year. I asked him to have his lawyers leave the room, that I wanted to speak to him personally. He thought about it for a moment, and he told his lawyers to leave the room. Now, it was me, Tom Aioli, the non-high school graduate, versus Donald Trump, the now President of the United States of America. I composed myself and went with my gut. And I advised him. I thought we had a deal. We shook hands, I said, and where I'm from, when you shake hands and you give someone your word, it's your word and you stick with it. He quickly replied, there has to be some trust in this relationship. President Reagan said you must trust your fellow American. And I replied, Mr. Trump, in all due respect, you know what President Eisenhower said? In time of peace, prepare for war. Probably one of the most scariest moments in my life. And he stood up behind his desk in total disbelief and paused and replied and said, okay, Naomi, I like that quote. You got me, you win. I'll give you what you want. I'll give you your long-term contract. He then called his lawyers in and advised them to write the contract up, and we proceeded to execute it. I then officially became his full-fledged partner, the now President of the United States of America. And to this day, Mr. Trump remains a personal friend, which is part of networking, and any entrepreneur needs to network. And during his election, I was named part of his finance transition team.